All right, welcome to another episode of Oh CyCy, brought to you from the heart of the Lower East Side, where I talk to cool people out of the neighborhood that are doing interesting stuff. Anybody that is working on projects that make a difference. Today we have a really amazing guest, Znere Grace, is a scriptwriter and a director, and is working on his first short film. Not only the film, but also creating an app with it that's featured in the movie. But I'm gonna let him tell everything about it. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Cool. So let's just get right into it. Let's start first. So how did we meet?
We met through a mutual friend. He was having a birthday party a few years back. We got deep pretty fast.
Yes.
Past traumas and life stuff and film and the 80s and art. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like, let's hang out soon.
You know, I'll tell you this, that's actually a quality that I like about you. Because a lot of people don't do that. Like, a lot of people say things, but they don't do it. And most recently with the movie, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But the last two actors that I added onto the project, I met them a few weeks back. And I ended up bringing up the movie, and I told them that I would reach out to them. And I don't think they believed that I was actually going to reach out to them. And so when I did, they were like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people are full of shit.
Yeah.
Okay, then you came over here. What do you remember?
I remember coming into your space and thinking that the way you set your home up was kind of like, I felt like I was inside of your head.
Wow.
If just the way everything is so like meticulous, and we were able to like pull up videos, and it was like straight to it. Like, we were like submerged in the art in a very like old school New York type of way.
Yeah.
In a way that you hear about in the Warhol days, that it was just very much that.
Yeah, I remember because we talked a lot about the 80s, because I love 80s music.
And our love for Madonna.
Yeah,
before she became cool again.
No, it's true.
She was always cool to us. Let's just put that on the record. Yeah.
No, but it was really funny because at the end of the night, you were like, have you always been into Madonna? I'm like, oh my God, did I talk about this too much? But then I found out that you really liked her too, so it was all good.
I respect the hustle and the art. Consistency. She's a consistent bitch.
Yeah, and she's the first to do a lot of things.
She's the first to do a lot of things, but I think if we look at the history of pop culture, she has been one of the most consistent. And there's a lot of people who we love in all forms of art that they are not consistent, so they'll drop something, a project, or it could be a movie, it could be music, a painting, and they don't give us enough. And so then it burns out and you move on to the next hot thing. And I think she has worked hard enough to keep us interested. What
I really think is really cool about this project is what I want you to tell me about it, actually.
Yeah.
So, like, what's the title, brief synopsis? Tell me about it.
The name of the movie is Red Milk. And basically, I had two full features that I was writing over the course of a few years, kind of just tapping in and out. And I was using this as more of a way to taking my emotions and just having a place to put them. So creating these characters, creating these fictional worlds, and kind of just really, I would get stoned in Tribeca and I would just kind of take it there. But I never really had anywhere to take those two movies. And so last year, I didn't know if I wanted to write still. So I kind of just...
Why?
I think I got to a point in life where I didn't know if I should take a more like right-brained approach to life and do something a little more like structured and, follow the money and not the creative, And so I started last summer just like having fun and kind of being in the moment and kind of just going out and enjoying that. And I ended up going to Berlin with Calais and with Mez, and we were in Berghain, and I had a aha moment, and basically the movie came to me. I was able to merge these two ideas to come up with Red Milk.
Wow. Where does the title come from, by the way? I love it. It's so gripping.
Well, I can't... can I say... or would that be...
Ooh, are we getting...
Yeah. Would that be... I kind of wanted to show that through... There's a scene in which you'll see and you'll go, oh, okay. And
Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Easter egg. Yeah.
Easter egg.
You'll look for it in a scene.
Okay, but it's great. I mean, you don't even have to know what it's about. It's really cool. When you see it, Red Milk, the movie, you're okay, that's something.
Yeah.
Something happened.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this too. There's a person who I follow on social media who's always posting like trans women being murdered or killed or gone missing, and I wanted to try to figure out a way, like, just to problem solve. Like, why is this happening? Why isn't the government, like, doing more to help? And do they just not care because it's not something that, you know, is normalized in a lot of places? So you're saying
aggression against trans people?
Yeah. You know, and I wanted to try to find a way that can even the playing field. So the first thing to mind, I was thinking about in African American history, just being in the States. Back in the day, they had the Green Book, which was a book that if you traveled through the South, you needed to know which hotels to stay, which gas stations you can go to, restaurants to eat at. There was like a secret little book that they all shared, so you could survive and not.
Oh, so it was safe for people of color to go to the South because there was a lot of racism.
Yeah. And also, I mean, the percentage of black people during that time in comparison to white people, it's kind of crazy that there's still black people here today. And I think it's a very marginalized group, just like the trans community. And so I wanted to try to find a way to problem solve. And so I basically created this app, which is called Red Milk. So the original name for the movie was going to be Hard Times in the Big Apple.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And the app was just going to be called Red Milk. So another Easter egg.
Wow.
And basically, this app kind of served as a middle ground, so you don't have to really call the cops firsthand, especially if you don't trust the cops. You get to get on this app, and other people from within the community can come and help you in or out of a situation. And in the movie, that's done to like the most extreme degree. So it's basically a group of friends who created the app, and they're testing this app out the first time. And basically, they end up meeting a faction or an opposing group of people who this all leads to a chaotic brawl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be a lot of action.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna get to that soon. But tell me about this app. How does it work?
Yeah. So we kind of want it to be like a social platform in which kind of how like as friends we share location, right, on our phone, but we're not really looking at the location. Here and there.
I always do when you're late. And hey, where are you?
Right, but that's what I mean. Like you're not really just randomly like, oh, what is he doing right now? I mean, you could, but it would be creepy.
Meanwhile,
but,
I'm like, like, no, I don't.
Yeah. But just having more of like when you think about like a Twitter feed, right? Mm-hmm. And you get to just put information. At the Morgan L stop, there's a guy harassing people, spitting on people. At the
Morgan L, that has to be a movie too, right?
Yeah, I mean, it isn't. No. Yeah. The Broadway stop, the cops are checking people for looking for whatever ICE is there, but kind of using this platform as a way to help the people.
Yeah.
And I think
that people feel safe. So it's a community.
Yeah, it's a communal app, and that's going to be more of a social platform. And in the case of an emergency, there'll be a few key features that they can access.
Okay, and then you get help from people around you.
You get help from people around you. You can also call the cops. You can also get in touch with a hospital. It'll have for homeless, it'll have all of these different features to help.
That's so cool. Yeah. Okay, wait, but you said this is a gay action film, something you don't see often.
It's a queer action film.
Oh, sorry, LGBTQ+.
I hate to be the...
No, very good. I hate to be the one.
Hate to be the one.
The bearer of...
baby girl, yeah. There was a paradigm shift in cinema in terms of what's allowed, And I think that now we're like, 15 years post-Marvel, and so many big names have been able to profit off of action. Mm-hmm. But yet, the world is still trying to figure out how do queer people fit into this future. And we've seen movies over the last 40 years in which, all of this futurism, but yet we don't have a place in it. And that could be your favorite movies, from Star Wars to the old Dune to most recently the new Dune.
Yeah.
There's just no place for us. And I think... taking in what's been good for queer cinema, which has been coming of age, it's been trauma, it's been love stories.
It's always that.
It's always
the moment with the parents, and then the dad doesn't accept, and a bit of victim.
Yeah. And I think if you would have asked me about the project maybe like a year ago, I would have kind of shied away from that. But I think we're using all of those elements in this movie. And then some. So kind of taking what's been good for queer cinema and adding on the action to it now. Because I grew up seeing queer people who you would be afraid to fight. I mean, they had to survive. So it wasn't like what you saw a lot of times in the movies, in which, of course, you're targeted, of course, you're killed. But there's some who just knew how to take care of themselves to be here, still here, And so
the people that fought for our rights, that we're able to do whatever we want.
Yeah. And so this is kind of like championing their energy, their spirit, and like, ushering in a new way of queer cinema, Yeah.
So earlier you were saying something really interesting, that you're living in the future, that you have trouble living in the now. Why is that?
Wanting things to happen in the future, sometimes you can't be present. Having faith in things that you can't see is hard, and it requires a vision. And I think that when you live in the present, sometimes you can enjoy the moment
a lot.
And you can be in that moment, and that could take you away from the path that you're supposed to go to. So out of fear of that, there's been times where I thought about, I've applied for PR, I've applied for like technical director, just a bunch of stuff that I would have been interested in doing, that had I done it.
But now you bring it all together in this project.
Yeah. Honestly, I want us to make a statement strong enough to where, and when I say statement, I mean it could be an NYU student who they see the project and they could be better at shooting it, and then they do another queer action film, and I want more queer representation in thrillers and in action, and I want us all over the place, because we are all over the place. We know a lot of different crazy fucking queer people all over the city, who we all don't fit in the same box. But like watching Kill Bill, like a strong reference for me for this is Kill Bill 2, the first one.
That fight scene is insane.
Yeah.
Is your fight scene the big fight scene? Am I allowed to say that?
Well,
there is a big fight scene?
There is a big fight scene. Okay.
Is that inspired by Kill Bill 2?
Well, not that one, no. Okay, so there's something about watching Uma Thurman and Daryl Hannah in the trailer in that scene in Kill Bill, because there's not a lot of space, and it's really theatrical, and you fucking bitch, and they start really giving you story within the fight, and it's not like you're just watching a kung fu film and they're just fighting and it's like boring. It's interesting because they're cunty, because they are talking, because they come with fashion, because you felt like you knew them, and if this was someone that you didn't like, you would react in a similar fashion if you knew how to fight that way. So the first fight scene is most definitely giving that. The second fight scene is so just eclectic and crazy. That was more so not really inspired by a fight scene, but more by like the Holy Mountain. That one was more so like not taking away with limitation, but adding in a bunch of elements to create this monster of there's techno, there's this, there's dance, there's fight. Taking my love for 80s.
It really brings everything together. So what I love about New York is that everybody here is here for a reason, because you can't just live here and do nothing, because it's quite expensive and a tough city to live if you're not doing anything. Like, no shade, but like LA, you can go there and do absolutely nothing, and the weather is really nice. You could even go live on the beach, and
I think some people move there to do nothing, I think New York,
I moved there for a half year.
What'd you think?
Well, I came back within a half year, and I said to everybody, well, I need seasons.
Well, you know what? I was thinking to myself, I don't know if I would ever, kind of how we were talking about New York and LA, I don't really like the Hollywood system. And I think why a lot of the people who suffer in it is because it's not fun. And why indie projects are a little more fun is because you're usually like off location, and it's like you're learning it together, and you're in it.
Totally. I find always in LA, even with camera crews that I hire, they're very like following the book. So I'm like, oh, just put the light there because it'll give a weird shadow. That's also in fashion. It can be a little avant-garde, but they're like, no.
Versus New York, you're saying like in New York, it's a little more like.
Yeah, it's nice if it's off. Otherwise, it looks cheesy and like
what you've seen a million times,
like a Citibank ad. And nothing against Citibank, but I do not need my videos to look like that. I like when something is a little off. That's why I like you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. Since knowing you, like having friends like you in the city, for sure has helped me get to this point. To be able to do a movie. You really are sensitive about who's around you.
Yeah.
You and I, we've spoken about past friends, which is a whole different.
That's gonna be definitely a very good episode.
But
we did bond over that too.
Yeah, and not having the right people around you, and not in like a shady way, but just more so having the right people around you. You get shit done.
You inspire each other. Because not everybody inspires each other, even though it could work in a different.
And being an artist, there's the yin and there's the yang, right? There's when it's good, when it's bad, it's bad. People don't really like to talk about that until it's really bad, and
it's all fun and games till it's not.
And when we're like down and out, I think we really take it in a deep way, because we're not just doing shit just to do it. We are really thinking about with intention, like why we are here, why we're doing it.
Being intentional is important.
Yeah. And so for me, for sure, being in New York, having friends like you, being put on my ass, getting back up, I think it's inspired the whole thing. I mean, even in the movie, I was able to kind of showcase that, like with this being a queer action movie, I wanted to show like us getting our ass kicked too, and us getting back up. It's not going to be a superhero film. It's going to be very raw and very real in that way of like, you can get punched, you can get kicked, but you'll get back up and, to your last breath,
Wow.
Yeah.
I had good news today. That's maybe one last cool thing because we have to go to the commercial break.
Yeah, so we were able to raise like, I want to say like half the amount of the target goal. So we have enough to shoot the project officially now. Now we can shoot it if we wanted to shoot it in 2 weeks. We can shoot in 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
But like on iPhone or?
No, on actual like nice DSLR.
Amazing.
Or film, however we want to shoot it.
Yeah. If you have more money.
But if we have more, I think we can push this to the oomph degree and make it really special. And we've been putting in a lot of work in pre-production. Our pre-production for a short film has been insane. For a 15-minute film and kind of what we're doing, I don't think most short films...
No, of course not. But of course, this is your first project. Yeah. It's super ambitious. Yeah. So you're gonna put all your effort into it because you're also figuring it out and learning while you're doing it. Mm-hmm. And I felt that with the group that I saw yesterday. You create enough room that people can give their 2 cents or 10 cents. I think that's really great about it. So
to your point, I think I would always want to build a kind of a family dynamic before shooting the project.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of pre-production, I think it might be shorter, but I think I'm always going to want, no matter if they're stars, I'm going to want that experience. Like if I get to do a movie after this, I want to be able to have that. Because it's been nice, I think for all of us, it's been a nice way of escapism, Yeah. And if that's shortened, then it's like, oh no, it becomes a job. And I think when it's drawn out, then it's like, now this is life, it feels. Now, would you ever do a documentary?
Yes, I would. And I actually, during the pandemic, went through the country to talk about, because there was so much division. I find it a fascinating country. And I can always, how different the view is, I can always think oh, they think like that because they're from there. I saw, during my road trip in Montana, you can't have the same laws as in New York City because that's like the Wild West. They look different against guns because they have to protect themselves, and there are more cowboys and there are more animals there. And it's like, but here in the city, you can't have everybody having a gun. It would be a shit show. And I think a lot of people don't see that. I think a lot of people are stuck in their echo chamber. You don't have to agree with each other, but at least you can have the conversation. So you're open for each other and you can relate. So that's what I like. So I find also documentaries often try to make a point. So it's very one-sided. My documentary will be different sides, and then people can choose their own conclusions and be inspired.
Wow. Yeah. I think that's great. Yeah.
Because all these questions were quite intentional, or the conversation, because we really centered it around your movie. But here we have just a randomness.
I'm just
you
gonna
pick
grab
a card.
this one.
You can read it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What makes you truly happy? I think a nice laugh. Like being in a space or mindset in which I'm around the right people and there's something just really funny. I think that's something that could last you a lifetime. And you could be fucking 90 years old, and if you're with the right person and they could make you laugh, I think that's a beautiful way to go out. Yeah. I think that, a nice laugh.
That's really cool. Z, so where could people follow your film?
We have a social media page, Red Milk Movie on Instagram right now. And after the movie is shot, we'll have a website and maybe some other things. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. And the app, of course. And then if people want to, you are still looking for donors. So where could, just sell this. Explain to people why it's important that they do help fund this project.
There is a generation. There is a generation of
closer.
There is a generation of the young queer youth who depend on you for them to see a brighter future for themselves.
Wow.
And for myself.
You're amazing.
Oh no, we have to do the handshake.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's how we started.
Always. Yeah. Okay. This is great.
Yeah.
Wow.